Hey, Wagwan people. Welcome to another episode on Destination Jamaica. Big up to everybody, wherever you are. Bless up and thank you for tuning in. Now, today we're going to speak about dancehall, We truly believe we're at Destination Jamaica that we shouldn't ever, disown our culture. It's a part of us and it's something for us to embrace and understand. And we are totally passionate about our culture. That's why we started Destination Jamaica. Now we might do this in two parts. We're gonna speak a bit about dancehall, how it came about, right? And so much more. Now let's begin. Dancehall is a Jamaican popular music that it originated in the 1970s. Initially, dancehall was more a sparse version of reggae than the root style, which had dominated much of the 1970s. In the mid 1980s, digital instrumentation became more prevalent, changing the sound a lot, with digital dancehall or raga becoming increasingly characterized by faster rhythms. Key elements of dancehall music include its extensive use of Jamaican patois rather than the Jamaican Standard English, and a focus on the track instrumentals, or what we call rhythms. So dancehall, it saw its initial mainstream success in Jamaica in the 1980s. And by the 1990s, it became very popular in Jamaica. In the 2000s, dancehall experienced worldwide mainstream success, and by the 2010s, it began to heavily influence the work of established Western artists and producers, which helped to further bring the genre into the Western music mainstream. All right. Now we're going to speak about the early developments of dancehall. We're going to start back in the day, right? So dancehall is actually named after Jamaican dance halls in which popular Jamaican recordings were played by local sound systems, right? They began in the late 1940s among people from the inner city of Kingston. Kingston, big up yourself. So they were not able to participate in dances uptown. See, them do them own thing. Like that me a chat about, yeah man. Social and political changes in the late 1970s Jamaica, including the change from the socialist government of Michael Manley People's National Party to Edward Seaga JLP, were reflected in the shift away from the more international oriented roots reggae towards a style geared more towards local consumption and in tune with the music that Jamaicans had experienced when sound systems perform live. Themes of social injustice, reparation, and the Rastafari movement were overtaken by lyrics about dancing, violence, and sexuality. Through the revolutionary spirit, it was still present in Jamaica due to its social upheaval. The radio was very conservative and failed to play the people's music. It was this gap that the sound system was able to fill with music that the average Jamaican was more interested in. Right? So it represented what was happening, the people. The people were more interested in this kind of music. But trust me, reggae, dancehall, very close to our hearts. We love both. So no competition. Each type of music has its own room in our hearts. It's for different things. Sometimes they intersect, right? Because when you have like a massacre talking about King in Our Earth, which is a more modern kind of dancehall song, right? So dancehall is not just about the violence and the sexuality in dancing. It's about some social issues that we have as Jamaicans. For those who listen to dancehall, I would love to hear your thoughts on that. Now let's continue. Musically, older rhythms from the 1960s were recycled, with Sugar Minott credited as the originator of this trend when he voiced new lyrics over old Studio One rhythms between sessions at the studio where he worked. He was working there as a session musician. In the 1970s, Big Youth, U-Roy, and I-Roy were famous DJs. Around the same time, producer Don Mays reworked old rhythms at Channel One Studios using the Roots Radux band. The Roots Radux will go on to work with Henry Jungle Laws and some of the key early dancehall recordings, including those that established Barrington Levy, Frankie Paul, and Junior Reid as major reggae stars. Other singers to emerge in the early dancehall era as major stars included Don Carlos, Al Campbell, and Tristan Palmer, while more established names such as Gregory Isaacs and Bunny Wailer successfully adapted. So some systems such as Kilimanjaro, Black Scorpio, Silver Hark, Gemini Disco, Virgo High Five, and more soon capitalized on the new sound and introduced a new wave of DJs. The old toasters were overtaken by new stars such as Captain Sinbad, Rankin Joe, Clint Eastwood, Lone Ranger, Josie Wales, Charlie Chaplin, General Echo, and of course, Yellowman. So a change that was reflected by the 1981 Jungle Laws produced a whole new generation of DJs, although many went back to U-Roy for inspiration. DJ records became, for the first time, more important than records featuring singers. Another trend was sound clash albums featuring rival DJs and or sound systems competing head to head for the appreciation of a live audience, while underground sound clashes cassettes often documenting the violence that came with such rivalries. So we're going to do one more paragraph and then wrap it up because this is the first section, right? If you haven't subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button. If there's something you want to say, please do. We're open to all comments as we want to grow and learn from you, of course. Now let's continue. Yellowman, one of the most successful early dancehall artists, became the first DJ to be signed to a major American record label and for a time enjoyed a level of popularity in Jamaica to rival Bob Marley's peak. Watch ya! The early 1980s also saw the emergence of female DJs in dancehall music, such as Lady G, Lady Saw, and Sister Nancy. Other female dancehall artist stars include Diana King, and in the late 1990s to the 2000s, such as Cecile, Spice, Maca Diamond, and more. And of course, you had Beanie Man, Bounty Killer, Mad Cobra, Ninja Man, Bojo Bantan, and Supercat becoming major DJs in Jamaica. With a little help from DJ Sound Sweet singers such as Pinchers, Coco T. Sanchez, Admiral Tibet, Frankie Parley, Half Pint, Courtney Melody, and Barrington Levy, they were popular in Jamaica. Yo, I'm thinking that must be a time. I was a kid then, but I'm thinking that must be a great time to experience all that in the 1980s and the 1990s. Of course, the 2000s, I do remember, and a lot of these artists I know. If you were there in the 1980s, you know, when dancehall and 1990s and so forth, let us know what the musical scene was like back then. So we're gonna wrap up right now. The artwork is done by the phenomenal KVN Art. Check out his art on Etsy, Redbubble. Support the Jamaican artist, them man, because we're talented like that. Do remember to subscribe and of course check out our Etsy store for Jamaican products. Thank you so much for always watching, listening, supporting, sharing, subscribing. One love, one heart, and big up everybody.